We're here at Red Room Art Glass Studio with Damaris Oakley, and you're a glass artist, and she's making some beads. It's a very tedious work, it's very small. Tell me a little bit about the process, what you're working on now.
I'm working on a simple bead, and I'm working on a mandrel, and I'm using warm glass, and I'm heating the glass up, and I'm melting it and rolling it onto my mandrel.
So how long does this process take?
So I can make a bead fairly quickly. I usually sit down and make beads all day.
And it's not just beads, you have beautiful pendants and amazing detail on these pendants. And of course you were saying it's the stringers that you use that you can get the detail with?
That I get the design, yes. And the stringers are made from the actual glass. And here's some examples. So that bead was made out of this glass, and this is what the rod looked like before I started to make the bead. And this is a piece of stringer. And this is what I've applied to the bead to make the design.
It's not just glass that you're working with, Damaris, you're working with silver. Can you tell us a little bit about how you incorporate that into your work?
Yes, I use silver mainly as the second component, and the silver is what holds everything together. So I essentially wire wrap my beads with the silver in order to put them together into a necklace. And a good example of that is the necklaces that I have on the table here, and they're all wire wrapped with silver wire. Another example is the cuff bracelets I make. This is a cuff bracelet that I've made. It's out of sterling silver, and this is the finished product, and I use my beads and wire wrap them directly onto the cuff bracelet.
It's beautiful work, and I've seen, you said you started with the stained glass, and I can see some of your work over there. But what is it? This is very tedious and very detailed. What is it about this work?
I think bead making offers a new experience every time I sit down to make a bead.
Really? Why is that? Is it you just don't know how it's going to turn out, or is it?
You can control the rate of how you melt it on your torch and the colors you add, but you don't quite know what you're going to get when it comes out of the kiln. And that's why it's so exciting for me every time I sit down and make a bead.
It's absolutely beautiful, and you distribute your work at art shows across Vancouver Island, Western Canada. Can you tell me about that experience of being able to work directly with the people buying your art?
I think getting out and selling my art myself, people enjoy it more. People make an association with the artist who made it and what they're buying. And making that everlasting association is what's so important when someone buys art, because it's so personal.
Well, I've really enjoyed meeting you today, and thank you so much for showing us your studio and having us here explaining a little bit more about what goes into glass art bead making. And you can find more about Damaris online. You can find her at the shows. Like I say, thanks again so much for having us here.
Thanks for having me.